Tucked into the rugged slopes just beyond Georgetown, Georgia Slide once rang with the clink of picks, the roar of hydraulic monitors, and the unmistakable brass notes of a frontier band. This was no ordinary mining camp. It was a tight-knit enclave of families, many of whom came west from Georgia after years of digging into the worn hills of Dahlonega. When James Marshall's discovery in Coloma kicked off the California gold rush, these seasoned miners were ready. They headed west and reached the Georgetown Divide in late 1849. They staked claims in the steep ravines just outside of Georgetown and named the place Georgia Flat, a modest name that didn't last. A massive landslide soon gave rise to a new name, Georgia Slide. What followed was the rise of a vibrant, if short-lived, mining community. A distinctive camp on the Divide. Unlike the transient and often rowdy camps scattered across gold country, Georgia Slide stood out for its sense of permanence and neighborly order. By 1850, nearly a dozen frame homes, with porches perched above Canyon Creek, had been erected. Families such as the Flynns, Barclages, Morgans, Reinharts, Rouse, and Stantons laid roots. They planted orchards and gardens, cut winter wood together, and shared saloon corners and Sunday visits. Though the town lacked a school, post office, or church, its residents made the steep climb to Georgetown for services, and social ties ran deep. The Barclage store, both a supply house and a social hub, offered everything from pickaxes to port wine. Just next door, a warehouse stored the dynamite that powered the area's next great innovation in mining, hydraulics. Georgia Slide and the power of water. In 1853, the Beattie brothers, George, Daniel, and John, pioneered a bold new method in the canyon south of town. Scots by birth and miners by trade, they constructed a complex ditch system to divert water from Canyon Creek, North Canyon, and Dark Canyon into iron pipes. These pipes fed giant nozzles, or monitors, that blasted water at high pressure into the hillsides. The torrents broke up gold-laden earth and flushed it into long wooden sluices where gold, dense and heavy, settled to the bottom. The success of this hydraulic operation at the Beattie claim spurred others. The Blue Rock and Pacific mines followed suit, and eventually the Mulvey Point and Parson claims were absorbed into a larger operation, the Georgia Slide Mine. Together, these mines became the most productive hydraulic mining complex in Dorado County. Still, hydraulic mining was a blunt instrument. It's estimated that only about half the gold was actually recovered through this process. What escaped was carried downstream, caught in bends of Canyon Creek, or buried in gravel bars. Later operations, including the Gold Bug Mine, also known as the Canyon Creek Mine, capitalized on this. Between 1896 and 1934, the Gold Bug Mine worked a 4-mile stretch below the old hydraulic sites, recovering an additional $1.5 million worth of gold. By the time hydraulic mining was banned in 1889 for its destructive environmental impacts, mainly silt clogging the Sacramento River, Georgia Slide's operations had already begun to slow. The deeper the miners went, the less effective the water-driven systems became, and some turned to tunneling. But underground work was expensive, and the easily reached riches had already been taken. Music in the mountains, the Georgia Slide Brass Band. Amid the clamor of picks and the rush of water, music was never far behind. One of Georgia Slide's most remarkable contributions to regional culture was its brass band, founded in the winter of 1875 to 76 by Joseph Reinhart, a classically trained musician from Vienna. The band's debut came at the wedding of James Flynn and Maggie Morgan, and their performance at the centennial 4th of July celebration in 1876 sealed their fame. Over the next 2 decades, the Georgia Slide Brass Band performed at weddings, funerals, and community events throughout the Divide. When Reinhardt passed away in 1891, he left specific instructions, a somber march to accompany him to the cemetery, and a lively tune played on the walk home, with a stop for one last drink in his honor. The band did just that. Legacy in land and lineage. Though the town itself faded, homes dismantled for lumber, the population retreating to the drier climes of Georgetown, its legacy lives on. Descendants of original families still reside in the area. The Flynn House on Harkness Street and the Morgan House on Church Street both trace their origins back to Georgia Slide builders. The hydraulic trenches remain too, deep scars carved into the land, a lasting reminder of the industry's force, ambition, and the destruction hydraulic mining left in its wake. Georgia Slide may be gone, its orchards overgrown, and its fences long vanished, but it remains a powerful emblem of the gold rush spirit, bold, communal, and inventive. Its memory, kept alive through family stories and historic photographs, ensures that this once thriving community is not lost to time. Unframed is created and produced by Foothill 7 TV and is adapted from the Dorado County Historical Society's monthly historic photo blog and the Tailings newsletter. A special thanks to the Society and the collectors who provide the images from their archives, making this program possible. The Dorado County Historical Society works to preserve and share our region's history. Visit the Fountain and Tallman Museum on Placerville Main Street to explore this legacy firsthand. You're invited to become a member or donor to support their efforts. Learn more at edchs.org. Thank you for watching Unframed, and look out for more stories from our county's past.